been a while since I've actually done face-to-face with you again. Um, what's occurring to me immediately is my voice is pretty shot. That's because I have just completed the infusion side of my latest chemo. It's been about almost a year, believe it or not, since I started this particular chemotherapy. And I mentioned before, it's palliative in nature, which means there's no expectation of anything really extending my life to some huge amount of years. It's not going to cure anything. What it does do is help stretch my life expectancy so that I have some time with reasonable fitness to do things, to take care of things. Fingers crossed that the amount of time that it stretches is significant, whatever that actually means. Today is going to be a different video. I'm going to take you inside the medical side of all of this a little more. I mean, so far, most of my videos have really been about the personal side, how we're dealing with it, and just keeping our sanity through all of this chaos and crazy stuff. But today, I think it is important for you to know what are the circumstances medically that is now taking us to what would we believe are crossroads or a crossroad in this journey. Based on medical evidence, just how I feel, a bunch of different things, Sharon and I do believe that we're heading for some big discussions shortly. So I want to let you in on that. I'm going to start off though with obviously something a little more pleasant. You saw at the beginning of this video the wonderful scenes that we have coming out of Campbell during springtime, and you know how much of a positive impact that place has had on our well-being. It continues. This past weekend we also had Father's Day. These days I always think about it, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not intending to be depressing or morose or anything like that. But anytime something significant happens, I just wonder if this is going to be the last time that I have the strength to actually, really enjoy and get the most out of one thing or another. Whether it's a special event like Father's Day or a visit from somebody from far away. The reality is this: we have to kind of include all of this kind of stuff, as somber as it might be, into whatever we're thinking. And in many ways, by doing that, we actually get the most out of the time that we have today. So our Father's Day was wonderful. We did all sorts of things, and we decided to actually take a drive trip to Toronto. It's about an hour and a half away, and we explored some cuisines like Turkish cuisine and Korean cuisine. Went and strolled around Hyde Park to the extent I could. We did even some architectural exploration. This is the building that was designed by the father of the guy who built our Campbell house. Jan Alberta, the father, the architect, was pretty prominent in Holland or the Netherlands as one of the foremost modern architectures, and he brought that to Canada. His career here was more modest, but he did some interesting work, and we found one of the houses that we were looking for. Anyways, a bit of a fun story. The thing that indicates the progression of the cancer part of the illness is principally the CT scan that we look at for the imaging side. And what it's showing is the tumors are under control. They haven't gone away, but they have not grown, and no new ones have coming in. So that's great news. In the end, how long that will last, I don't know. But it's also showing that the slim chance of this stuff actually going away, that ain't happening right now. But we'll take the stretching of my good days through the stability. We'll take that any day. The thing, though, that is a little more concerning to the oncology team is something called carcinoembryonic antigen level, CEA. That basically is a biomarker that indicates many different things that are problematic. One of them is that there is strong new malignant activities. Recall a while back, I showed a picture like this, and it's a chart of my CEA levels. Earlier on, I noted that things are coming down with the chemo meds, and that's great. But look at what's happened since. Things have really started spiking up. That's concerning. An average person, your CEA marker should be under 4. Mine is at 177 right now. That means one of two things medically. First, it could mean that there's a carcinogenic or malignant party starting to brew, and that's going to eventually catch up to the stability of the tumors. We don't know how long that will be, but it could be one of the interpretations. The other interpretation is that it is also a marker that indicates growing struggles that key organs are having. And the way it relates back to the cancers, if those organs become weaker, and these are things like the liver and the kidney and other things, well, that means they're going to not be in a great state to fight off oncoming cancerous activities. All of this basically it can point to the fact that perhaps the run of this chemotherapy prescription is approaching an end, and we're going to hit the crossroads. If you let nature take its course, most people actually feel okay until the disease symptoms hit, and then it's a very quick decline, and that is the end. So if you're on chemotherapy, it slows down. It basically stretches out the amount of time that you could have with only a modest level of decrease in your body function. When that time runs out, and eventually the body says, enough is enough, this stuff is too powerful, and then if you don't continue with some other form, you will go into rapid decline. We're at this crossroads. If indeed this is showing that the current meds have stopped working, I have two choices. One, let nature take its course, stop the chemo. I will still have a few months, maybe a little more of really good, joyous living, and then I will go into the decline. I can also choose, there is another possible prescription that can be applied, but problem is the basic efficacy and it's the predicted ability for it to do something productive is much lower. So meaning it just may not work, and I just take on all of the stress of chemotherapy for no reason, and in the end what that could also mean is whatever time that stretches to, even if it works a little bit, it's not pleasant in there. And in the end, again, it's not stretching it for years and years, it's stretching it likely for months, maybe another year. And these are serious questions that we have to ask. High standard of living, but short, lower standard of living based on wellness, but a little longer. Not a lot, a little longer. Looking forward, there is a fundamental goal we had for this year when we found out my diagnosis and what the treatment was going to be. We crossed our fingers and said, we're going to see some level of efficacy of this chemotherapy. It wasn't guaranteed. We're going to see something good, and that's going to give us a good 2025, and indeed it has. Remember my art, I've now progressed to the point where I'm exploring much more abstract, more interpretive, or more personal and more deeply resonating works. As you can see in these more recent samples, it may look like chaos, but to me, it's me really digging deep into thinking about the effect that art has had on me, and that's wonderful. I mentioned before, I had a book project. Yeah, I do. I'm up to a bunch of pages on a reflection on the role of our house, off-grid house in Campbell, but also how that has helped me to the extent that it can heal many parts. Maybe not the core disease, but a lot of parts of my existence. I still am intending to bring that to some closure. It'll never be published, I don't think, but at least it's an articulation of what is important to me before it's too late. Fundraising. You know, I did the Terry Fox run, then I helped raise money for the Grand River Cancer Center. I helped work with Eric on his new play project and a whole bunch of other things. I managed to contribute to the raising of over $20,000 in about half a year. That's really just offering my sincerest thoughts on the worthiness of a cause. And people responded. All of you responded, and thank you so much for that. We're going to have a wedding in our family. Our daughter, Maddie, is going to get married to a wonderful young man in September. And I was determined to be in good shape for that. And I think I will be. It's not too far away. Hooray. Similarly, Eric has a wonderful new opportunity coming up. He'll be starting in a couple of weeks with a residency at the Banff Center of Arts and Creativity. It's a world-renowned center, and he's going to be part of the team producing a new opera based on Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale. Very proud of Eric, and also very happy that he will spend a time in such a beautiful part of our country. So that's coming up. And believe it or not, we have another major project that we're working on. Regardless of what happens if we hit a crossroads, we're determined to make this happen. You'll get more details on that at a later date. I have had an amazing year, and it will conclude well. For now, that's all I care about. Yes, we talk a lot about next steps beyond that, beyond the crossroads, but we know what that means. We're under no delusions. We don't need it to constantly be around the kitchen table in our minds. We try our best to park that stuff and just make 2025 the best year of our lives. And then we'll take on 2026 when it comes. I hope some of the information was useful to you. I'll see you again as I race to conclude this amazing year called 2025 with all the great stuff that we've been working on. Thanks.